Yes. Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus announced on May 2021, at the 7th Fourth World Health Assembly that at least 115,000 health workers had died during the novel coronavirus pandemic. Analysis of literature showed that significant losses are borne by medical personnel at the red zones of hospital, doctors, nurses, as well as paramedics, ambulance drivers. The most likely cause of such losses is considered by health experts from different countries an increased load of staff, which leads to early professional burnout and emotional fatigue, a higher probability of infection with the virus. This does not take into account and probable causes, for example, distant interaction of the or Krashenyk's effect. At the same time, the most likely version of the medical personnel violated anti-epidemic regime. However, there is another reason. This is a remote, distant interaction of the aqueous system of a sick and healthy person. The experiments of academician Krashenyuk and co-authors at the International Research Institute of Space Anthropoecology in Novosibirsk, Russia, since 1994, on the basis of more than 20,000 experiments, made it possible to establish a reliable fact of remote interconnection of cell culture of the optical range. Thus, cell cultures under the influence of experimental factor, viruses, toxin, radiation, etc. on them, structures remotely. When two cell cultures come into contact through optical media, quartz, glasses, mica, and others, this means that realization of action information is remembered through structural information, genetic, molecular structural destruction of the cell, and a new factor of distribution in space is formed. Next slide. The author of the discovery believed that there are electromagnetic interactions between the tissue culture in the optical range. They showed the conditions under which the mirror cytopathic effect develops. The developed waves increase the sensitivity of healthy cells to perception of electromagnetic radiation of the affected cells. With the help of quantometric equipment, it was found out that the process of cell damage, in particular by viruses, is accompanied by characteristic kinetics of its own electromagnetic radiation in the frequency range of the visible and ultraviolet regions of spectrum. The research discovered a new information channel in an ultraviolet regions of spectrum. The research discovered a new information channel in biological system, helping to develop a new approach to assess and enroll a quantum phenomenon in the mechanism of functioning of the genetic program of the cell and the process of including information in specialized cellular system, for example, neurons. The correctness of this author experiments has been confirmed by many laboratories, including foreign ones. Confirmation was also carried out at our department on the model of ultraviolet irradiation of people with the definition of chaos criterion and the other criteria on the device of academician Dulnev and Yatron. Development of the works of the Nobel laureate Prigozhin. Journals. Let us dwell on the study in more detail. The purpose of the study was to find out the effect of ultraviolet irradiation of a person and the study of this effect on the irradiated people who are at a certain distance from the irradiated. A fundamentally new aspect of these studies was attempt on the dynamics of information entropy flows in the process of ultraviolet irradiation of a person, which makes it possible to obtain the results of the experiment in the form of a formalized chaos criterion or in order criterion. The most complete theory of practice of a new direction of the study of human physiological reactions under various influences: therapeutic, Hirudotherapy, osteopathy, EHF therapy of various types of art therapy. Next slide. Next slide, please. From the standpoint of thermodynamics of irreversible processes, the book examines of mass energy information, exchange of man with the environment. This material are published in detail in the author's article, Krashenyuk COVID-19 Post-COVID Syndrome, Pandemic, How to Protect Doctors and Nurses in the Red Zone of Hospital, Journal of Medical and Clinical Nurses. It is not difficult to imagine a doctor or nurse who is in a close contact with the patient in the red zone for 10 or 12 hours, performing medical procedures. Doctors operate on sick patients. Nurses measure blood pressure, make injections, droppers, and other procedures. At the same time, the aqua system of a sick person affects the aqua system of a healthy person, which reproduce the image of the disease, in this case, COVID-19. Today, there is a whole scientific direction, the ability to transmit radio signals from the aquatic environment to another. Today, obtaining information copies of medicine is a matter of information. The technology takes advantage of ability of chemical and biological substances to produce ultra-weak radiation that can be transmitted over long distance over communication lines, including the internet. Next slide. Next slide, please. According to Professor Slesary, the author of Theory Aqua Communication, it is not substances that emit, but their aqua models. Since what is a source of irradiation is sensitive to external radiation, water is an aqua radio system. In our recent published work, the mechanism of interaction between the aqua system of a healthy and sick person is analyzed in detail. And if we do not apply the knowledge in practice, they will continue to lose medical workers in the red zone. And this is obvious since the mechanism of this phenomenon has been proven by many studies, including ours. From this point of view, the protection of health workers requires a different design of protective clothing for doctors. Protection from acoustic electromagnetic radiation of the aquatic system of a person with COVID-19 coronavirus, for example, using a Faraday grid or using a radar detection. In addition, the discovery of wave acoustic electromagnetic radiation of medical leeches allows us to consider another possible aspect of therapeutic and preventive effect of system method of leaching, SML. The wave radiation of leeches significantly exceeds the radiation of influenza and herpes virus serotype 2. From the literature data, 800 and 44 hertz respectively. The leech emits in the region of 25 to 250 kilohertz. We don't yet know the frequency of radiation of coronavirus COVID-19, but we assume that is significantly lower than the of a medical leech. And this is a basis of our assumption about the preventive role of SML in health workers in contact with infected with COVID-19 virus. Moreover, this has been proven in practice by our students who own the system method of leaching. Next slide. The following research methods were used. Akabane test, methods of thermopuncture, the GDV method, based on the Kirlian effect, method of superposition brain scanning, method of dielectric, thrown by Professor Dulnev, determination of information entropy flows, curves, and other criteria. SPA effect, excitation of bulk molecular waves by MM waves in water and water-containing media. The device aquaphone. Next slide. About new discoveries. Discovery of the phenomenon of hirudobiopsy, the phenomenon of biochemical adaptation, the phenomenon of the energy effect, information entropy. Discovered the neurotransmulating effect of Hirudo medicinalis, acoustic effect of hirudotherapy, the effect of detoxification of hirudotherapy, the phenomenon of local hypothemia in the body of benign brain tumor neurinoma, the phenomenon of negentropic effect of hirudotherapy, the role of autohemorrhirudotherapy in formation of immunomodulatory effect of hirudotherapy, and opening aquastructuring effect of hirudotherapy. Next slide, please. On this slide, next slide, please. On this slide, we can see the influence of ultraviolet irradiation on the status of channels before irradiation and after irradiation. The patient is Svetlana. Next slide. The patient of Irina, the status of channels before and after ultraviolet irradiation of a back. Next slide. And analysis of Marina's channel before and after irradiation. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yes. You can see the glove of fingers, the results of analysis, and the contours of the human body. This is computer program, before and after effects of leeches on the human aqua system. This is superergic type of the reaction of leech therapy, increase of glow area more than 12%. Next slide. The investigation of acoustic effect of medical leeches. This is a sensor. This photo is beginning of leaching, and this is a finish of leaching. Next slide, please. Here you can see the original record signal leeches in the process of blood sucking. This is a signal, and this is a song leeches, I mean, its spectrum after Fourier transformation, recording the acoustic signal of leeches in the process of blood sucking and Fourier transformation. And we can see the sum of signals, electromagnetic, acoustic, from 29 to 250 kilohertz. Next slide. Please, next slide. The study of flows information. No. Come back. The slide before this slide, please. The study of flows. No. Before. The slide before this slide. Yes. The study of flows information entropy was analyzed using the neutron device, which was graphically expressed the definition of chaos criterion in the process of research. The sensors of the device were installed in yuan points on the left and right branches of the bladder channel, V64, point Jingu, foot area, and 3 subjects, and the kidney channel, R3, type C, ankle joint area. In one of the subjects, additionally, all 3 methods make it possible to study the state of human aqua system. Irradiation of a lumbar spine was performed as a standard device for physiotherapy. The ultraviolet irradiator with 2 clear compact sun lamps was used. The distance from the training source of a bug was 30 centimeters. The exposure time was 2.5 minutes for each subject. The radiation rate is 280 to 400 nanometers with a light source power of 300 VA. The results of research on the device neutron. Figure 1 to 3 shows the condition of the experiments. Show us, please, the next slide. In figure 4 to 6, there are the graphic result of the experiment. Measurements of the condition of the subject by a neutron device during irradiation revealed significant effects. In addition to significant fluctuation of the value of criterium chaos in the process of radiation of subject, significant fluctuation in criterium chaos were synchronously revealed in 2 other subjects who were not currently irradiated. Each time one of the subjects was irradiated, a similar reaction occurred in other 2 subjects. This effect was reproducible when all subjects were irradiated. To eliminate the effect of ultraviolet exposure on other subjects, in a special series of experiments, light-proof screens for ultraviolet radiation were installed between the subjects. However, the above-mentioned effect of synchronizing the changing of the values of criterium chaos in all subjects were reproducible each time. Next slide, please. The experimental with protective screens from right to left, Marina, Irina, Svetlana. The placement of sensor on device and ultraviolet irradiation on the back, Svetlana. Next slide. The graphic results of experiments to study the effect of ultraviolet radiation on Marina's body. We can see the maximum criterion of chaos on Marina, and the same Irina and Svetlana from dexter branch and sinister branch. Next slide. The same picture on Irina's body. The same thing on Marina and Svetlana too, the dexter and sinister branch. Next slide. The same picture on Svetlana's body. The maximum fluctuation of criterion counts on Svetlana's body, and the same in Marina and Irina too. Next slide. Conclusions. The neutron device, the kirlianography test, the Akabane test, can be used to study the transmission of information through channels or meridians caused by ultraviolet irradiation. The effect of transmitting remotely information of acoustic electromagnetic nature from person to person by emitting one aqua system to the aqua system of other people is noted. The neutron device, the kirlianography test, the Akabane test, can be used to study the change in the cluster structure of human aqua system under the influence of various factors. The mechanism of information transformation from sick aqua system of a person to the aqua system of a healthy person with the appearance of image of the disease COVID-19 in a healthy person has been experimentally substantiated. Various options were protecting the health of medical workers of the red zone from the disease COVID-19 post-COVID syndrome are proposed. The protective clothing of medical workers should have a protective shield against acoustic electromagnetic radiation of the aqua system of a sick person, or a protective anti-radar against such radiation, or practice Hirudotherapy after leaving the red zone on vaccination. Thank you very much for your attention.